has just become this very powerful pick that can scale fairly nicely into the mid game.
I think particularly for LNG, where we've seen that Doinb is willing to pick up in the mid lane, so it works as a flex, like definitely threatening. What's crazy is the adaptation we've seen in bans so far throughout the playoffs, where we've seen a shift up in priority, and now a lot of power picks we expect to see banned away, left open. Zeri, Yuumi, Poppy as well. I expect JDG will probably take the Lulu here, and we'll get the Zeri, Lulu, Sivir, Yuumi trade-off, but they also probably want the Trundle because it's the best matchup into the Poppy. So in my mind, you grab both here. We'll see if they do something different. One thing to mention is LNG, we expect the Sivir, right? They're kind of locked into that Sivir on 3 if they want to take that trade-off. Maybe JDG could take something else. Maybe they take a mid laner or a top laner, and then LNG don't have a chance to respond. And that's exactly what they do. They're not too bothered about the Trundle. And LNG, you're forced to take the Sivir. So this means Yagao gets that Azir pick with no match coming in.
Yeah, and that means you can put now bans from JDG into that mid lane onto Doinb. Yes, Doinb has got an absolute massive ocean of champions to choose from, but you can definitely give Yagao a hell of a lot easier of a time. I will say, giving Poppy to Tarzan is kind of terrifying for me. He was one of the first early adopters of the pick when it came to the LPL. He was one of the first people we saw openly say, like, this champion is broken. This champion has so much it can do in the early game. And not only that, but he was also the first person to bring out the Trundle counter as something that can be worked into it. So this man knows this pick. He knows how this champion works. And again, I'm expecting to see a lot of good kind of, jungle bans here to make sure that Tarzan is given the freedom he needs.
Yeah, the Trundle one's the main one for me. I feel like you really hit the pool for Kanavi there. But I know Kanavi is someone who's brought out things like the Bel'veth, which I don't necessarily expect to see here, but he is someone who brings out these curveballs. Even, I believe it was like the spring or last year, brought out the Shaco jungle, which we just hadn't seen for ages. So always a player who has things up his sleeve. Then Zawas could be banned away, another one of those meta junglers. JDG are targeting Doinb though. I think the Nocturne makes a lot of sense, something that could really cause issue for Azir. They could even ban the Yone maybe if they're concerned about that. Obviously would gonna go for the Akali instead. We have seen Yone picked quite a bit into the Azir. Regardless, LNG mid here would make the most sense for me, just to be able to match that Azir, and then you leave that counter pick for Arlo. We'll see what they opt to go for here.
Yeah, as I said, yes, the Yone is an option there, but it does then sort of pigeonhole you into an idea that you have to go for an AP top laner, otherwise you're just really looking at the AD side of things. Makes it easier to pick like a hyper-scaling tank for JDG. The Taliyah works an awful lot better in terms of that kind of setup. It gives you a lot of mobility, and honestly, the Taliyah-Poppy combination, we've seen it quite a few times now, this split, has been exceptionally powerful. Something that you work with the Weaver's Wall, you get an extra little bit of terrain, and even just, kind of like stopping people from dashing away in so many different ways. It can work so well. So for JDG now, you have to try and find an answer to this. You got plenty of scaling, but you need a little bit of engage.
Yeah, we saw Bel'veth being hovered there, but a champion with 4 dashes in every direction, they're locking it in. You're playing into Taliyah Poppy. 4 dashes doesn't sound like a good time when those champions shut down the dashes. They opt to go for, they actually go for the Sejuani as well. This is a strong top jungle combo because obviously Bel'veth can very quickly stack up the passive. Clearly a lane they want to try and play through, and we'll see what all they can bring out, because bear in mind, you can expect Kanavi to focus up towards top side. We typically see him lean towards 369, but also I just don't think there's much to play around in the mid and bot lane. Looks like he might just go for that Gnar, the general safe blind we've seen consistently. Obviously not a blind here, but one of the more stable picks we have in the current patch.
Yeah, I will say Kanavi has played the Bel'veth twice so far this split. 2 wins, once against LNG, against Tarzan's Poppy. So there's different ways of looking at this. Could be a little bit of a flex and saying, look, I know how to deal with you. I know how to sort this out in the terms of the jungle. And there's no real way for you to counter it. I will say, though, that was back on 12-12. We are now 12.15. A hell of a different patch in terms of the priorities. And I'm very curious now to see how things go in this matchup.
I feel like for me, JDG really want that objective control, right? You have the Bel'veth. We're seeing this is the team with the highest dragon percentage, highest first dragon percentage. But with Bel'veth, it's all about those Rift Heralds. Get the Rift Herald, get the Void Remora, and you can start to really push down turrets. Both teams have strong scaling carries, right? Those backlines, Zeri, Lulu, Sivir, Yuumi, Azir, and Taliyah, both really high DPS champions. So I feel like whoever manages to find a lead between them, it will make all the difference. That being said, I do feel like maybe LNG might struggle with the range discrepancy, but we'll see how they're able to navigate that in the later team fights. Regardless, we said this was going to be about the junglers. Tarzan gets his best pick on the patch, I gotta feel. Kanavi bringing out the Bel'veth, one of the few players to make it work. this is going to be such a big head-to-head.
It's going to be very exciting. We have seen them now lock in their drafts, and we are jumping onto the Rift. Game 1 of this best of 5 in the first round of the double elimination. JDG, our second place team from the regular split. LNG on another Mojo Miracle run. Can they make good, and can they push themselves even further along to maybe look at that championship gold? We're not going to hypothesize anymore, Aux. We're going to jump straight into the Rift as both these teams look to try and strike first blood.
Yep, and I feel like getting this early advantage in this game could make all the difference. We've seen the trade-off in the bot lane. Both junglers, though, getting a lot of power. How they play will really dictate this one. And we see LNG going pretty aggressive here, trying to play around the strength of the Taliyah level 1, but they will be forced away.
Well, we've obviously talked a lot about these junglers, and I want to know kind of like where we expect these two teams to look for those advantages. As we mentioned, JDG, fantastic at taking those first drakes, but when I think of Bel'veth, I think of first Herald, something we haven't really talked about, because again, you want to get that upgrade. So what are we expecting to see now for both these sides as we move up towards that, 8-minute, 10-minute mark?
I mean, honestly, Kanavi could just play aggressive to challenge Tarzan, push for scuttles, push into his jungle. I feel like he's going to have the advantage in terms of lane priority. Having the Lulu into the Yuumi does mean that you're going to have that earlier push, right? In comparison, having the Azir in the mid lane also something that has been, a fantastic scaling pick, but also easy to find that prio because you just, have the soldiers, as you can see. I feel like if he does want to play for the scuttle heavily, all his lanes will be able to support him. Even top lane, the fact 369 has the ignite, the fact that he can stack that passive so quickly means Tarzan is going to struggle. I feel like he kind of wants to not match Kanavi in the early levels, and we do see them start on opposite sides.
And this is pretty standard as well. The Lulu and the Yuumi have become, honestly, mainstays within the LPL playoffs. It just feels like the Enchanter meta has taken over quite a bit. It is all about getting those extra little bit of harassment down, and it's just very much the style now as well. You're just kind of fighting over the priority, making sure you can hit that first level 2, and maybe, as you mentioned, give priority to your jungler should they need it. But
yeah, actually, something we've been seeing is that funnily enough, missing a lot of his good alliances in the early trades, and that can make all the difference. I mean, we've seen this matchup so many times in playoffs, but we've seen sometimes like the Zeri having so much pressure in the early lane. Right now, Light and Luma are out trading.
Yeah, they are very heavily out trading there. And again, this is the thing, is yes, you have got the glitter lances, and when they hit, they can do significant damage, but they have to hit. I will say now, Kanavi up towards this top side. Allah should just be able to get himself backed up very, very nicely, and probably just going to hop over. Yep, bonk on the head, hop over there. We'll say a nice, decent trade back here for Kanavi.
Oh, my lord.
Yeah, they've got to be careful. The Bel'veth is actually pretty damn powerful, especially with that W that gives you so much resistances.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that you're able to clear him away, force him off. The wave is in a rough spot, so not exactly in prime position. Olish should just TP in. Obviously, didn't bin any summoners, but yeah, it's the E that gives you 70% damage reduction, which is kind of mind-blowing, right? 70% is such an insane amount. Very hard to turn things around, very hard to focus down the Bel'veth in those early trades. Now, Olish just TP back in, get the crash. We'll see Kanavi pick up the scuttle, and he could make his way back up towards top lane, but Yagao, you got to be careful here.
Yeah, flick back, it lands, and that means that you're going to see Yagao have the flash away because the steadfast presence will stop any soldiers from mocking him away. And we've seen this gank a million different times. Tarzan and Doinb constantly keeping themselves here. Allah, he feels like something is here. He feels like there's something going on, but he's not 100% sure.
Yeah, and the thing is, 369, if you had flash, you'd obviously be able to just Q flash onto Ale, catch him out. Doesn't have the available, so he kind of needs Kanavi to get in there. Now, Ale, rock in a hard place.
Yeah, rock in a hard place. He'll flash away. He doesn't have his hop anymore, and now they're going to get the concussive blows, the permafrost. And that is first blood going over to JDG, and this was just persistence coming out from JDG saying, look, we're going to get this kill whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and the commitment to make that happen, the fact that Kanavi's staying around towards the top side, the ghost to get in range. Now, Tarzan trying to hold the wave. We'll get stopped here, so it is going to be able to crash, which is really big for 369. Ale, though, will miss quite a bit of the wave as well. So a nice early gank, and kind of the expectation we said, this top jungle, really strong, really good setup, especially now that Ale's flash is down. You can repeat that gank again and again. The ignite, the ghost is going to be up sooner, but honestly, I don't even think you need them. If you get on top of this Gnar, if you stack up the passive, that is kind of just it. You are dead.
Yeah, and here it is. This is the big moment here where Alla ends up hopping away. That's now a 22-second cooldown. So you can see it there. As soon as they know that's down, they're like, cool, it's not up for another at least 10 seconds. So we have got an easy way of getting on top of this guy. And all 369 had to do was kind of cut off his exit.
Yeah, and Kanavi, the mobility offered to Bel'veth. This is the thing. I've seen so many games in solo queue and pro play where Bel'veth has just been absolutely useless. But Kanavi has made it work. And one of the big powers is that early skirmishing. The fact you have 4 dashes, and as much as they're different directions, you can angle it diagonally, so you're still getting closer to your target, able to cover such a large amount of ground so quickly, especially when you have Ghost as well. And for someone like Gnar, where you kind of rely on your dash and your flash to gain distance, easy to run you down. So good early start. We do see that top side scuttle obviously picked up. Bot lane, mid lane, both been going fairly evenly so far. And Tarzan, all he's managed to do is get that flash from Yagao. I'm interested to see if we get a repeat gank, though, if we see another window where they look for Yagao in the mid lane to punish.
Yeah, I will say, we saw the level XPs there. It's actually a full level between Alla and 369. Yes, normally it's like, oh, there it is now. But I think once, yeah, there it is. The full level, level 6 just get hit here. As Alla now in a little bit of trouble, but another great ultimate. 369 with the solo bolo. And Sejuani gets her mark.
The solo bowler manages to catch the ult onto Ole there. And this is the thing, flash down. 369 hits 6. The level discrepancy you just talked about came to fruition. And Kanavi, yes, it was an extended play to make that gank work. Yes, you had to repeat it. But he gives an advantage to 369 and 369 runs away with it. And we'll see here, Ole is trying to contest the wave, trying to contest his cannon. But 369 is just refusing to let it happen. Keeps stacking up the grasp. Gets that stun, gets the extra damage as well, and Ole gets the hop away, but the ult connects and he gets taken down.
Oh, missing! Doesn't quite go down just yet, but he's basically
my lord,
out of this fight. Now Yagao's in a lot of trouble. We're going to go straight back up to the Rift Herald, which was, I don't believe, taken at the moment yet, because it's not even up. As you can see now, Doinb's in a lot of trouble. He doesn't have flash available to him, but he does have a blast cone. So, action across the map. LNG back on the board.
Yeah, and just as we're talking praises for JDG, we see LNG answer back. Not sure how Yagao got caught out there, but obviously flashless does make the safety of the Azir a lot harder when your dash can be interrupted so easily. But bot lane as well, Light and Lumao. You know, one of the things with the lane matchup is that we often see the Yuumi wins the extended trade because just to sustain. But the Lulu has a bit more trading power in the fights, but looks like the Yuumi has been massively winning out with Light here. Now, Yagao... Yeah, I mean, one of the problems here is you go for that play, but now Yagao has no mana, no mobility at all, and the Weaver's Wall comes in clutch.
Yeah, Weaver's Wall, get the flick back there, and you can see Tarzan straight away. Really nice discipline on the steadfast presence, recognizing he didn't need it straight away. And that's, of course, just going to be Doinb kind of walking away from Kanavi, who tries his very, very best to make something happen off the back of it. But, again, just good movements here from the side of LNG. But now you don't really have the ultimates available to try and maybe contest this Rift Herald. And we talked about it before, how important this is for the Bel'veth. And just getting that extra ultimate form is so huge.
Yeah, you can see already support's moving up there. But notice that we even saw Hope walking towards the Herald. They've now backtracked. They've kind of realized they're not going to need that extra pressure. They've seen Light bot lane. They know they're going to be able to secure this Herald for free. But JDG were ready to bring 5 members. They were like, we are getting this Herald or we are dying trying. Now they have that secured. Obviously, it means when minions die near Kanavi, that Void Remora will spawn up. Really adds to the pushing power. It means if he gets some alone time on a tower, it will just get taken down. So LNG have to respect that, but first, they're trying to look for something on a 369.
369, he has got level 8, but he's not going to be able to get himself away from this one just yet. You can see Alla trying his very best, will not have flash, but does get the crunch down. The ult back, and that's going to be an easy pickup here. You want to give this one over to the Gnar. Very nicely done. And again, Tarzan covering towards that top side, making sure that that deficit doesn't grow. Yeah,
so good gank, obviously, managed to find that, and Alla gets back in time to pick up most of the wave. But it's costly. We don't see a play for a tower that could have happened, right? Herald and Pocket. JDG could have just looked to try and threaten bot tier 1. You could even see Light and Lumao backed away because they're concerned about that. But instead, they pick up that dragon. We hit on this earlier. Highest first dragon percentage in the entire league. And JDG securing both of those neutral objectives. This is how Kanavi wants to be playing, picking up those neutrals, securing advantages for his team. I'm interested to see what where they use the Herald, though, where they find the best opportunity to make the play. And that top gank worked for Tarzan, but if he makes a gank like that happen again, even if it works, or if it doesn't, committing to one side of the map opens up and exposes the opposite side. We could see a play like that result in your tower being taken by that Herald. So LNG definitely have to play a bit on the defensive here and just try and not give too much of a window to Kanavi.
Yeah, I mean, look, yes, you got to kill back. It's great for Allah coming into this one here, but like you said, it costs a Rift Herald, it costs first Dragon, and those objectives are very, very expensive right now. They're very much a big price to pay to get yourself a kill back in the top side. I do think it's the correct call from Tarzan. I think getting Allah back into the game is of highest importance. He's been so pivotal for everyone here, but now we're going to see a flick back. Not quite able to keep Doinb alive, and Yagao picks up a very nice opportunistic kill.
Yeah, great play. The fact that Doinb has no flash available and wasn't able to stop the dash in time. So you get that kill pickup, and Kanavi, knowing he has pressure mid lane, knowing that Ale has to be really concerned here, leans up towards the top side. Herald is in pocket, but I'm not sure if they're necessarily even going to need to use it here. They can just zone Ale away for now, pick up some plays for 3. He's still got about a minute and a half on that Herald available. So it looks like they'll just lean over, apply the pressure, and then back away. Kanavi really just trying to put the knife in the wound, twist the knife, sorry, onto Ale in this top lane matchup.
Yeah, and this is, again, just kind of so difficult for Ale. You can see Tarzan just constantly has to be up here, constantly has to be hovering to make sure he's not going to be dove in, but it's getting more and more difficult. 20 CS is the difference. You can even see in the gold about 700, but the biggest thing, of course, we've been talking about so far has been that level difference. It feels like 369 is just constantly at least a level ahead of him, and now with Kanavi getting back and getting his Blade of the Ruined King, this game starts to accelerate for LNG, and they need to try and slow it down, stem the bleeding a little bit, because they're starting to get run away from.
Yeah, so first step as well, it's already a 1500 gold lead, but that Herald will make things even bigger. Less than a minute left on it, so wherever Kanavi goes now is basically whenever it's going to get thrown down. You see pings coming out top lane, so it looks like they're going to head back towards there and make that happen. In the meantime, LNG trying to make a play on Yagao, but he just has have flash.
He does have flash, but can he get away from it? That's the question. Does flash away, but he had to use that one very much at the last second because they did have the final chapter coming in. So again, good opportunistic play there from the side of LNG. They gain a flash. They don't really lose anything else outside of that. And Kanavi is back up in this top side. He's going to have to use the Rift Herald pretty much now, but that tower is basically dead. And Allah, I don't think you want to stay here, but he is almost mega, so he should be able to try and trade this one back. That being said, it is a Blade of the Ruined King, so you have to be careful. Does hop away, though, from the ultimate of 369, and it should just be the tower going down. Yeah,
you do not want to overstay in that situation. Have the passive stack up you for the Sejuani, or you would be dead. JDG trying to escort this in for a second charge, and they will get it. Tarzan has found Kanavi.
This is big damage, and he's dodged out from the knockup as well. He's going to pop up a steadfast presence for a little bit of extra movement speed, but he's left high and dry on his own. The ignite is good. Kanavi stays alive and even gets an extension on his ultimate form. That is just disaster for LNG. Tarzan was so close, but I think Allah just didn't get the message.
I mean, Doinb comes up, but he's not there in time, and Tarzan just overzealous. Didn't have the damage to solo out this Bel'veth alone, and this is the thing. Bel'veth is such a hard target to deal with in the early game because she's so mobile, because she gets a 70% damage reduction that also gives a life steal. She also has the blade. This is not a fight Tarzan wanted to take in here. It's kind of this thing where you see Kanavi and you're like, okay, I'm going to go for the stun. I'm going to get the stun, but you don't have Ale in range. You don't have Doinb. Kanavi dashes twice, and then here comes in for the turnaround, pops the E. You're never killing Kanavi when that's up. And then they're able to pick up the passive once more and move away. And I feel like ever since that Herald, Kanavi's just had that passive available, the ulti upgraded form, non-stop.
Yeah, it just feels so difficult now for LNG. And this is why JDG, why we expected action, because Kanavi can make things like this work. We've seen, you mentioned it, of course, in this playoffs alone. The Bel'veth just did not work for the side of V5. It just did not seem like it was going to do anything. But in this game, it looks like a completely different champion. The idea that you can just have such a massive impact on the same kind of champion, it just shows you how incredibly good Kanavi has been all split, and we're seeing it here.
Kanavi's just a great player, understanding what champions can do in the situation. That example I brought up from last year, the Shaco, was into a full dive composition, and the boxes providing a fear just made it impossible for the enemy team to play. In the Bel'veth here, particularly in the Poppy, I was concerned about the Bel'veth into your Poppy Taliyah, these things that shut down the dashes, but it's working so well because Tarzan can't do anything to him right now. He's just chaining these objectives together. He's picking up the second Herald right now, and with the Blade of the Ruined King completed, how is a Poppy ever gonna do anything to this Bel'veth?
I mean, not even just the Poppy, but like you look across the board, you mythics pretty much for everybody here on the side of JDG with just a Kraken Slayer for LNG. So yes, great job for you, Light, but hasn't been about the bot lane. It's been about the top side. It's why we highlighted for JDG, Yagao, Kanavi, and 369. It's not that Hope and Missing aren't good. It's just that the action, the rhythm of the game ends up happening from the top side. So this is just where JDG find their strength, and it's not as if, you know, scaling's going to help LNG either, because you got a Zeri and an Azir to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, there's problems when the game gets later. Regardless, like, both sides have a lot of scaling aspects, which is why getting this early lead is so important. Second Dragon is available. It is a mountain as well. 9% armor and MR if you can secure that, which would be fantastic for both sides. So I do expect them to lean towards it, but for now, Kanavi is going mid. He has the Herald available, has some Void Remora spawning as well. This tier 1 is doomed. My question is, are they going to try and commit for the tier 2? It looks like they're not. Kanavi's already moving towards this dragon, and he just has a monopoly on these neutral objectives.
I mean, he feels like he's the banker right now. He's just making all the rules. Community chest. Oh, you owe me 50 quid. Why? I don't know. I don't care. I just want you to give me the money.
LNG on pass and go, right?
No.
They do not collect $200.
And it just feels like, again, this is what we talked about for JDG. It's constant. It's a constant stream of them looking for plays. Even here in the bot side, they're kind of saying, cool, we'll throw down the Sejuani, see if someone overextended, because if they did, they'd die. Now 369 puts himself in the top lane because we do see actually a TP coming in from Doinb to make sure they can maybe punish this, because they know that everyone from JDG is already bought.
Yeah, I do like this. 369 try to defend there with his TP, and then instantly LNG are like, no, we need this. We need this tower take, or else we're going to be so far behind. And so they managed to secure it, but as much as I like that play from LNG to counter with something on this side of the map, look at the goal difference. It's a 4k gold lead, 2 dragons in pocket, and it's a Hextech dragon, which honestly I feel like probably just one of the worst from the perspective of LNG. Like, that slow is going to be so painful on a Zeri as well. I already said one of the concerns I had for LNG was the short range, right? Things like the Sivir can struggle getting onto the right targets here. If you're permanently getting slowed by this dragon, it's just doomed. So LNG are in a deficit. They're down in dragons. They need to find a way back in this game.
Oh, Kanavi does jump straight in on top of Light, who gets the spell shield out, but doesn't really get anything from it. So again, when your AD carry is just not really able to do this kind of style of play, you can see Kanavi just so confident running forward, recognizing that has the ghost, so it's just exceptionally slippery to try and catch down unless you have full engage hard CC.
Yeah, and he didn't even burn his E there, so still had that in pocket. It's like a safety net. And now looking towards the mid lane, just get a knock up on Doinb, but nothing more will happen. But it's just constantly applying this pressure back and forth, really finding windows to put LNG behind. And Kanavi has a 2-level lead on Tarzan, by the way. So, yeah, I mean, they're just going to look for this tower.
Oh, there's the ultimate, does land on the Doinb. He gets knocked up by the the W as well from the Bel'veth. They will be able to defend this tower, but you can see with the Void Remora, it's just doing so much extra little bits of damage. It takes a little bit more time and a little bit more resources. Now Yagao gonna have to dash himself away as Ala was about to go into Mega. And this is where you kind of see as LNG, you need to be a little bit more opportunistic. If they can get a kill, maybe that slows down the momentum. If they can get themselves, you know, even just a sly one just before Dragon killed that kind of, you know, stacking Drake condition, that's where they can come back into the game. But it's gonna be hard, Aux.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be so difficult because I feel like there isn't fantastic engage on LNG, right? A lot of their engage is conditional. It's like you have the Weaver's Wall, which can trap people, sure. Poppy can stun people, but only against terrain. And Gnar has to be mega, right? And so as a result, it's kind of hard for them to find these plays and be proactive to find these windows. A lot of times, like that topside lead, they looked for 369. They didn't find anything in 369. And so I feel like they need to have really good setup on these objectives. And have someone face check. If you know, Kanavi walks in and gets slammed into a wall, doesn't get a chance to pop his E, he'll actually go down significantly quicker than you'd expect. So we'll see if they can find that window. For now, though, the deficit in terms of items, in terms of gold, does just put them in a rough spot. I mean, look how tanky 369 is with the Frozen Heart. What is Light supposed to do if the Sejuani just exists in front of him?
And this thing is as well is that when you look at the composition, yes, the Taliyah does do damage, but the Taliyah has gone with the Crown of the Shattered Queen first. So right now, Taliyah's not doing a hell of a lot. Went very defensive with that first item. I honestly can't blame Doinb, to be perfectly honest. There's a hell of a lot of initial burst that can come out from JDG's kind of side, so just giving that little bit of safety. But it does mean that you're waiting even longer. You're waiting for the Sivir to get up to 3-4 items. You're waiting to have that, you know, Lord Dominic's now on top of the Phantom Dancer. And yes, light can still be relevant, but it's not as if he's just, you know, it's against a, you know, someone like I can't even think of like a Draven or even like that. I can't even think of an AD carry that doesn't really have a massive late game spike, to be perfectly honest. But the Zeri is going to be able to yeah, that's 80 carries, man. But it's like that Zeri is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with you regardless of how long this game goes on. So it's going to come down to execution. I think LNG just needs to be a little bit more proactive. I feel like Tarzan has tried, but it just hasn't stuck.
Yeah, but now you know Dragons in a minute, okay? You know that's going to be a big focal point. You pushed in this top wave beautifully that Yagao is now answering. This is the point where you beeline towards the Dragon and you try and secure control. One thing to mention is because LNG have the Sivir, mid-priority, I mean, just look how quickly this wave is going to get absolutely decimated. Easy pickup. And then it means you can push through into the jungle. As you can see, LNG are already doing so. There is still some wards in the area. Those double stack pinks not helping at all. And as a result, JDG feel confident to push in. TP even coming in from Yagao. JDG are ready and they want this dragon.
Yeah, I mean, this puts them onto Soul Point. This will be a Hex Soul, like you mentioned earlier. Hope's going to be able to clear out the wave in mid, so they're going to have that pressure point. Allah isn't a million miles away from his Mega Gnar form, so definitely a possibility of a, you know, window there for the side of LNG, but JDG don't want to try and risk it. They want to try and use the ultimate straight away, but now you've lost your Ignite and your ult off your Sejuani. There's the Weaver as well, but it's kind of stopping people from helping out Light. That one was a little bit weird there from Doinb. Just seems a little bit disconnected from LNG. You will have the TP here from 369 as he goes back to heal up, but it looks like LNG, they might have found a moment to be able to try and take this dragon.
Yeah, it's so tanky though right now. It does mean that JDG should be able to push over and contest once more. Are they just going to 50-50 it?
I mean, they're going to try. You can see 369 had TP back in. There's going to be the ultimate there from the Poppy. They're going to jump onto Kanavi on the backside, but it's jungler versus jungler. Just ready up Smite fight, and it goes straight to the way of JDG. Kanavi wins that one there. Everyone flashing away from Yagao as he goes in unperturbed, but he's taking a hell of a lot of damage. Nobody dies. Everyone just seems to getting lower and lower, but nobody falling just yet. 369 thinking about going over the wall as he nearly had his ultimate back off cooldown, but the end of it all ends up just being Dragon and Soul Point now for JDG.
Like, I'm going to reveal that could have been a lot worse for LNG, considering the deficit they're in. They handled it kind of well, but it did come down to 50-50 and they lost. So they didn't get what they wanted. But the fact none of them died is kind of like the silver lining. At the end of the day, JDG are now one dragon away from Soul. And as well, I said the Hextech Soul was fantastic. The dragons, I don't think there's a comp I've seen that benefits more from those Hextech dragon stats now. We got a replay coming in, and JDG just feels so confident with how tanky 369 in. Tarzan knocks away the Lulu and then goes for the stun on Kanavi. But the rest of the team just aren't able to make their way in. 369 and Yagao doing a great job of just zoning away. And then when Light does try to move in, just ends up in a compromising position. So many flashes burn to get out. And even though Yagao goes very aggressive, does not go down.
Yeah, Hope did lose his Immortal Shield Bow. That does keep him alive as well. So, but yeah, again, JDG, they got what they wanted. They knew what they wanted to try and get out of that, and it was straight up the Soul. Get it, or Soul Point, get anything else, and it's just a nice little kind of pick-me-up. Is, ooh, Hope getting taken very, very low there. Now we're starting to see Doinb do some significant damage in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good sort of play you want to find, right? The anti-dash ability of the... Oh, 369 could be in trouble.
He's in a hell of a lot of trouble. Remember, this Sejuani doesn't really have an escape after that Arctic Assault has been used. More like an Arctic Retreat, to be perfectly honest. Will they be able to take him down? Yes, they will, but they are tanking the turret. Doinb goes golden, and Kanavi now in a little bit of trouble himself. You've got yourself Alla with the cat on his back, and he's doing significant work. But while that's been happening, Yagao takes a turret on topside, drops down the Shurima's Legacy, and he's able to defend himself.
Yeah, but I'd like the plays coming out from LNG. Looking for these windows, looking for these opportunities to punish. And now Yagao, like, he may have the towers, like the defense mechanism, but they aren't letting you leave.
No, you're not trapped in here with us. We're trapped in here with you, but at the same time, you're gonna have to try and go down. As I say that, a 1v3 with the tower helping him. Yagao almost goes sicko mode right there and nearly takes someone out for their troubles. LNG get themselves 2 kills and are starting to show a little bit of life in this game 1.
This is fantastic for LNG. They go for the bot side lean. They get the play. Remember, I said this Sejuani was super tanky at the time. didn't really have any MR built. Was, you know, that Frozen Heart doing nothing against the Taliyah, and even the Gnar has that percentage HP magic damage on his W. So able to take down 369, able to go top side and get Yagao, giving some much needed gold injection. Sadly, one thing I'll note is no flash has been for JDG. You're always hoping when you go for these plays that, you know, Yagao, a Hopians, a flash that can help you in the next team fight. Summoners galore still for JDG, but we're starting to see some life in LNG. 2 minutes until the next dragon. If JDG get this, I don't see a way LNG come back in the game. So it all comes down to this big fight.
Yeah, it really does feel like it is down to how this next fight ends up playing out. Of course, JDG, our spring 2020 champions, only have the one title to themselves. Starting to feel a little bit reminiscent of that particular time. I will say Al does an exceptional job of just getting himself back in levels. He's actually a little bit ahead now of 369, despite being down a level pretty much the entire game. So fair play to him. But for 369, the rest of JDG, it is about kind of getting this first blood. And not only that, getting it onto the blue side. If you lose on blue side, it does feel like it's an even deeper cut coming into your series right now. And for JDG, they want to get back up into that 2020 form. They want to try and, you know, lift the Silver Dragon trophy once again to make sure they're kind of, you know, living up to the expectations we put on them.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. Let's be real. And JDG, I think, you know, a lot of people have had question marks for them. That loss against FPX in the regular season definitely made people wonder. I do think they're showing that form we expected to see of them. Can they carry it out throughout this game, though? 50 seconds on that dragon. And yeah, something I mentioned earlier, I didn't really get a chance to expand on it. Hextech dragons, 9% attack speed, 9 ability haste. Like, when you think about JDG, Azir is one of the few mages who benefit from both those stats massively. Even Sejuani loves the attack speed for stacking the passive. Like, this is a team who love the benefits they're getting from these dragons. The Hextech, Mountain, and Infernal combo is such a potent one for those late game stats, for the combat power. They are now getting that push in mid, though. Look for the fourth dragon, sorry. 20 seconds away. And LNG are trying to sneak their way in without contesting mid prio.
Yeah, they're trying to see if they can go in through the blue buff area, but I will say you will have a stopwatch now picked up here for Doinb as he gets himself immediately out. That's the one positive with the Hex Gates. You got a hell of a lot more mobility to get out to the map a lot quicker. And now Doinb on 3 items. He's got himself a Zhonya's. That could be key. He's also got himself a Cleanse and an Exhaust. Lots of combat summoners now on the side of LNG when you look at the Yuumi as well with the heal and the Ignite. Now, Dragon has been started. They're going to see if they can maybe go for a full front to back. Doinb off to the side. Now going to put down the Weaver's Wall and just try and separate them out. They need to try and burn this Dragon as quick as they possibly can. The ultimates have all come out. They're going to try and go for it. The Dragon resets, though, and the Smite's actually not come down just yet. He's going to let Kanavi in, but no! LNG self-survive one more time. And look at the Sivir. The AoE Sivir is just doing so much. Hope tries to go in, but he gets caught out, and that's a double kill for Light. LNG, they're bringing it back, and JDG, they waited too long!
Triple kill for Light, and they're going to head straight on towards the Baron. JDG were kept out the pit. They did everything they could to get in range to smite. And as a result, LNG, not only did they manage to scare the Dragon, but they also got the fight in this game. Felt like it was JDG's to take, and now LNG are back in control.
I mean, it's such a massive swing. The gold, the Dragon, the Baron, and now look at the waves. You had total control of the map.
And look at this. So the interruption from LNG is fantastic. The wall comes in, and no one wants to be stuck on the other side of it against a Poppy. All from Tarzan buys time. But look, eventually Kanavi does get in the pit. But JDG, like, they're fully focused on trying to get in the pit. They're not even thinking about the fight. And as a result, Light is just constantly doing damage. Look, Kanavi right next to Light, but is focused on the Dragon. And then Hope dashes too far forwards. Messes up his flash as well. Just completely flubs it there. And JDG just able to clean up. It was tunnel vision on the Dragon, some mechanical mistakes, but LNG did everything right.
I mean, LNG, the Weaver's Wall, even the Gnar ultimate on top of the final chapter, just to kind of stop 4 members of JDG from pushing forward, from finding any kind of advancement. And all of a sudden now, you're looking at a 3.5 item Sivir, you're looking at a 3.5 item Taliyah, and a 3 item Gnar as well, with Baron buff. So the gold lead's completely gone. It's now LNG who are in the favor, and you're starting to look a little bit shaky because Tarzan is finding more and more opportunities. You've lost your Lulu, and this game is just blown up. But what happened, Dogs? LNG just woke up and chose violence.
They saw a window, they pounced on it, and now they're pushing further and further. TP have to come in for 369 to try and defend. LNG show no signs of stopping. They have Arlet pushing in the bot wave as well. And JDG, I mean, they're clearing the waves for now, but top bot inhibitor tower is going to be threatened in a second, and LNG keep fishing for windows.
I mean, Allah's got a full stacked wave here, and even Kanavi trying to run on top of him. Again, he's 3 items. You're not really going to do a significant amount of damage onto him. 369 gets stopped there by the Unraveled Earth, and again, just kind of push in this bot side, keep the 2 cannons going. That's going to force 4 or 5 members now down the bot side for JDG. You move back, you're just kind of pulling them, tugging all different sides, stretching them across the map. And JDG, they can't really find an opportunity because outside of either a god tier Azir ultimate or a great pickoff from the Sejuani ult, you don't really have great engage.
Yeah, I mean, you need 369 to be there. You need to land that ultimate, but, you know, Mikhail's has just been completed by Lumao, so the ultimate for the Sejuani not even going to be that good in terms of locking people down. And look at that gold on the left side of your screen. Light Fierce, the big beneficiary of all these kills. And now he has his 3 items completed. We do see Hope has just finished the Infinity Edge, which is a massive spike for the Zeri. But 4 items Sivir. That is the point where Sivir really comes online, where not only are you dealing insane damage to squish your targets with the LDR, you basically just burn through anyone. 369 is not going to feel tanky against Light once he completes the LDR, and he's not that much gold away from it. So I think Tarzan probably is going to give him the scuttle as well. Yep, they are trying to get that last item completed before the dragon spawns in a minute and a half, because if Light is able to free hit again, I don't think I need to explain what's going to happen.
I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It ends up being a 4,300 Baron power play, so just completely shifting the gears of how this game is going to look in the next fight. And again, you're very scared in the next fight. I think 369, yes, as you mentioned, he is a very, very tanky boy, but it's only going to help you for so long, because the Warmogs is great when you can go out, come back in, and kind of keep taking the poke, but outside of that, it's just a meat shield. It's not really much else from that. So LNG now in a prime position to start stacking these Drakes. And yes, we talked about the Hex Soul for the side of JDG. You just stack these Drakes on the side of LNG, you're going to be huge. Now Tarzan in a little bit of trouble, gets hit by the ultimate there. So that's the Glacial Prison going to come in for him. He's going to have to use the Whirlybird, but he's going to keep it there for the last few seconds. So he should be able to keep himself alive, maybe even go for a little bit of a reset. But JDG is saying, look, we're not going to care about the dragon right now. We're going to go straight for this turret. And honestly, they can keep going. They've got a big wave.
Yeah, they can push in, and LNG have to respond. They can't just beeline for the dragon, but they're actually trying to go for a cut-off here with the wall. I
mean, the wall does cut some off, but they're kind of a little bit caught between there. Alla gets a good ultimate there, gets on the Hope, who has to flash away, but Alla's dead. You've lost your Kanavi, though, and your top lane. You can see the Sivir is just shredding people right now. Yagao goes in, though, and gets himself a great Emperor's Divine. Hope, though, can't really be a part of this fight, as Lumao is caught between a rock and a hard place. I don't think he's going to be able to solo the bird. And now it's going to be 3v2, but you don't have priority on this dragon. So JDG, I like the play coming out for them. They're still making LNG think.
Yeah, they try to cause issues for them, but LNG managed to pin them in. Find the pincer, and Light again is so strong now. Didn't even finish LDR, but they managed to secure that second dragon. Even more attack speed for the Sivir, even more ability haste. Light is a problem right now, and there's just no real answer. The wall from Doinb was fantastic here. It made Arlis such a threat, because the concern is, oh no, he's about to hit Mega. What if he slams us into the wall? The wall does fade, so he has to slam them into the base wall. Doesn't get the full stun onto Hope. But ultimately, the damage is done on Light once more. Charging forwards, free hitting. Does end up a little bit messy with Lumao, like not attached to anyone. And this was definitely chaotic. Him even trying to solo out Yagao at the end. But the end result is LNG 2 come out ahead. They do manage to secure that dragon. And we look at Light items. He's finished his 4th item and got a stopwatch to boot.
Yeah, I mean, look, I respect the gusto from Lumao to be like, you know what, I'm a cat, he's a bird. Traditionally speaking, I should be able to win this one out. But not quite how that one goes, especially when the bird has a very large birdhouse to be able to protect him. So I will say, though, LNG, they get themselves their second Drake. Baron spawning in 20 seconds. It's not quite an exceptional gold lead, but like you said, the Sivir is huge. The Taliyah now doing significant damage with the Void Staff being finished up. Even has the Verdant Barrier kind of going towards getting themselves a Banshees. So this game is far from over, but it does feel like we're getting to a point where gold leads don't matter, and it's down to execution.
Well, I feel like as well, the gold lead in total might not be much, but you got to look at where the gold is. Kanavi has an advantage over Tarzan, a whole item. But I haven't seen Kanavi be useful for probably a good 10 minutes now. Tarzan on this Poppy, he's just a tank. His items are cheap. He does his job. He doesn't really care. Kanavi's really been struggling to have presence in these fights. And would I rather have, you know, a 2-3k gold lead on my Bel'veth or on my Sivir? The answer is absolutely the Sivir. And until they can take Light out or cause some pressure onto him, he's just going to dominate all these team fights. So JDG struggling for answers right now. Baron is up and available. Dragon not for 3 minutes. And they are trying to push up mid and have some presence here. But LNG, there's so much wave clear on this team. You can never really make anything happen without a Baron buff when it comes to pushing.
Yeah, we'll say JDG, they've slowed down a little bit now. They're kind of still walking around as this 5-man death ball as Tarzan and J369 find themselves. I will say, you shred this Baron. You destroy this Baron.
Just start Baron.
Yeah, you just got to go for this one here. Doinb going to pop down the Weaver's Wall to try and separate everyone out. That's a great keeper's verdict, but no. Secured by Kanavi. He gets a smite fight on this occasion. Now Light moving forward with the final chapter, trying to keep everyone away from Kanavi. They should be able to kill him off right at the start of this fight, but now Light is kind of separated away from the team. Yagao uses the Emperor's Divide as Doinb gets the Hex Gates to put himself on the other side of this fight. Hope looking like he's trying to go for this one. Allah jumping in on top of Hope, and Hope has died. Now you can put down the damage here with the Tarzan and Doinb combination. Missing and 369 are the only ones left to play. And yes, you got the Baron, but what did it cost you, JDG?
You got the Baron, you even got Light, but it wasn't enough. All it takes out Hope. Yagao already dead, and no one else to carry through the damage. A Lulu and a Sejuani, not enough. And now TP's coming in. Death timers are long. This could just be the end of game 1.
This could be it. JDG, they had such an exceptional start to this game, but LNG, they stayed and bid their time. They knew where they could go for. 369 knows he needs to try and clear these minions. He's very, very tanky. He actually takes down Lulu now. He just won't die. They can't kill him. Eventually, the rocks will be thrown, but he's done enough to keep them from getting the win. And now, Kanavi's just trying to stop them from retreating now as well. The exhaust comes down, so Kanavi needs to back himself away. Tarzan and Doinb are still left here. But at the end of it all, look at the TP. Look at the TP. There's a TP coming into towards the mid lane. They're going to try and find Allah. They're going to try and keep this play going.
If they find a pick here, it could be massive. It could lead to them getting that soul. Oh, they solo. Oh, it's going to get his head.
Oh! No way does he survive that with the red buff as well, getting himself some nice little HP regeneration. That's huge. That could be the difference between Soul.
I mean, death timers are so long. He's level 18. If he dies there, that is probably just Dragon gone. Soul secured. Getting away so clutch. Hex Gates coming in huge in here. JDG just go, screw it. We're just going to flip the Baron. Faith in Kanavi. He does secure it. And he does survive a decent amount of time in this extended fight. So it looks like it could be okay. But the Yuumi does a fantastic job of zoning it here. Focus onto Light. He gets jumped on by everyone. But Yagao gets caught out on the side. We don't get time to go more into this replay. Dragon in 20 seconds. Fight 5v5 back on. It all comes down to this.
I mean, 34 kills in 37 minutes. This is LPL to a T. Now Tarzan going to jump onto Kanavi with the set fast presence, but Tarzan's not very tanky right now, especially with the extra bit of damage you get from Light. And you can see now they've taken down the Sivir in this fight. Yagao, though, is going to be taken out here, so it's going to be Allah looking to try and take out Kanavi. Remember, this is Soul for JDG. Kanavi needs to stay alive. Tarzan as well. 369. It's just a massive wall of meat as they jump in. Hope jumps out and misses the ultimate there from the Gnar. They've taken down Kanavi, though, which means that your jungler is alive and there isn't. It's going to be a 3v3 for the moment. It's top jungle and support versus ADC, but it's still a Zeri, and the Zeri is still monstrous in this fight. Allah trying to delay for as long as he possibly can. They're trying to put down the shields, the heals, the tank, doing so much, and he's still pushing back, still looking to get the hyper procs. Eventually the ultimate from the Sejuani comes back, and they'll clean up house JDG, but they need to take this dragon and need to defend. There's super minions in their base.
They will have time to take the dragon. Hope is a DPS, but because Ole bought that time, they won't be able to end. If he died immediately, maybe they could have rushed through that big wave top and try to make it happen. Regardless, the end result is LNG survive, but they will lose the soul. What a chaotic fight. And once again, JDG have one thought in their mind: kill Sivir, and they managed to do it. That was the prime focus here. Tarzan goes in so aggressive. Then look at how this fight ends up playing out. Light gets caught out here, doesn't manage to spell shield the Sejuani ult, and just gets comboed. Had flash, but didn't expect it. And in the ensuing fight, the DPS just isn't there. Yes, people start to get lower and lower. Yagao gets bursted, but Kanavi and 369 are so hard to kill.
I mean, look at 369 here. He knows his job is just to be the disruptor. He knows that his entire existence in this fight is to just be an annoyance because they can't kill him. That being said, though, you can see the significant damage that Doinb does, and even Allah does, into likes of Missing and Hope. These guys are just getting smashed out. They need to be so particular where they choose their fights, and positioning is everything. JDG kept Hope alive. LNG couldn't keep Light alive, and that was the difference in the fight.
And I'm just going to be real, that was a mistake from Light. Light had Flash. I'm not sure if he had Spell Shield up at that moment, but I'm not sure what he would have been on before then. Him getting hit by that Sejuani ult and dying, lost them that fight, lost them that soul. There's no other way to spin it. So now, LNG back into a gold deficit, but let's be real, gold kind of irrelevant at this point in the game. The focus is that soul. The advantage it gives you, that slow, can be so problematic. We've seen Arle kiting out. We've seen chase, like the chase down coming onto Light. That slow from the Hextech Soul can make all the difference. Both teams posturing mid though. Baron up in a minute is going to be the next objective, and LNG are trying to ensure they have priority on it. Kind of easy to do when you have inhibited down bottom mid on JDG's side, but they're really trying to secure this vision as best they can.
We are starting to hit full builds across the board. Full builds for both AD carries, full builds for Doinb on this Taliyah. You are starting to see the big item spikes coming out. This is the moment. It comes down to execution. It's not about what items or goals you have. It's more about how you use them, how you're able to make this one work. I will say with the double inhibitor down on that bot side, you still have about a minute of pressure for mid and bots, so you're going to be able to put a lot more there. 369 got a TP here just to join in with the rest of his team as they recognize that LNG kind of have control of this area right now. Allah taking a lot of damage right now and needs to be very careful. Gets hit by the ultimate and has a stopwatch to keep himself safe. There's a Weaver's Wall in the final chapter as LNG try to turn this one back around. Hope just kind of free firing right now as he pops his cleanse to make sure he doesn't get slowed. 369 though, he's a lot tankier, but not against a Sivir. And LNG, they're looking to try and take this fight, but look at Hope. Allah finds them though on the backside as Hope is still free hitting the GAs, the Zonyas, everything's being used. And this last side, Yagao, triple kill, and the big chicken hits hard. Quadra kill for Yagao.
Yagao comes in huge. It looked like Light was going to make it happen, like he was going to be able to team fight his way out of it. But he's able to find the shuffle. He's able to lower the health of Light and Doinb enough. Hope is there to clean up. And after this chaotic fight, 41.5 minutes, such a back and forth. JDG are the ones who claim victory.
I mean, we probably would have said after the first 10 minutes, JDG were looking like the likely favorites, but definitely not in the fashion it ended up being. 42 minutes.
Do a bit of trolling.
Yeah.
Win the game.
I wouldn't have it any other way. But again, for LNG, so close, so close to being able to turn that one around. And you can see just how big these AD carries could be. And honestly, it just feels like this is going to be the style of the series. This was game 1, Aux. This was the first game of best of 5, and it could have went either way.
Honestly, there's no other way to phrase it. We said this would be an entertaining series. It's already delivered one game in, but I have just ultimate praise for Yagao. This fight was about this game. Sorry, was about the AD carries. That was the focal point, right? Who's going to exceed?
Personally.
Is it going to be the Zeri? Is it going to be the Sivir? Yagao, I don't even feel like had that good of a game in general, because there were times when he was caught out, wasn't able to position well. That one fight just sold me completely. Like nothing else matters. That one fight, he did everything, and that's all they needed. One fight that late in the game will win you it. So yeah, I don't think either team. Obviously, LNG lost, so that's a no-brainer. But I don't think JDG are going to come out this game and be like really satisfied with how it went, given how dominant the early was. But you know, a contest non-stop throughout that one, and kind of showing both these teams out for blood.
Yeah, I mean, again, we highlighted it. This wasn't going to be a boring game, and it most certainly was not. So delighted to see both teams try to play towards their strengths. Again, JDG looking for constant fights, and then, of course, LNG towards that later stages, kind of just bringing it back with very coordinated team play. I will say it does feel like that one mistake from Light that just, you know, gave away the soul. It kept the game in a weird flux. You had 2 inhibitors down. You should have had complete control over the situation, and one mistake, this is the difference. This is what's going to separate the men from the boys. The one mistake that cost the game, in my opinion, was Light getting caught out because it just reset the pace.
Yeah, I mean, Light struggled to position in these team fights, and I did say like the range might cause an issue for the Sivir in this one, where maybe you struggle to be able to do DPS. I think Light's ended up, going, look, my focus is getting the damage done. And as a result, he ended up getting caught out, especially because Doinb didn't go for the Liandry's build. They just didn't have the damage to cut through.
Yeah.
After Light was dead, like Doinb still did a substantial amount of damage, but you could see as soon as Light goes down, they don't have the shred to cut through these bulkier targets, especially the Bel'veth, who is, went this armor heavy build, but also like is just deceptively tanky, has super high health in terms of base stats, and the E as well, soaking so much damage, giving so much lifesteal. It felt like really Light was in a prime position to carry, but made some mistakes, had some issues. But to be honest, I gotta be real, I feel like everyone in this entire game made mistakes across the board.
It was
everyone
not clean.
had their moments. It was a high pressure game where we saw, people falter. And I think that's just what's gonna happen. It's about pushing them so they do falter. But yeah, I mean, we just won a game. I can't believe this game won. This is the start.
I'm sweating. I'm legitimately sweating. Like, I'm actually so warm right now. So we're going to take a breather. You guys are also going to take a little bit of break, get some snack, get some water, because this one is looking like it's going to be a banger. We're going to send it to a break. And when we return, we'll have picks and